that place, continue to be ahead of the curve, to remain there. And really be, in some ways, a model for other countries to follow. I know that we are far ahead within the financial regulatory systems, within CFT legislation, within AML legislation, within the PAC, within the region, but we're also looking very good when you compare us against international benchmarks. And I'm sure that we will be fully prepared for on-site visit, and we will exit the grey list at the earliest, inshallah. With that, I come to the end of my statement, but I want to emphasize over here one thing that we, as a nation, must remember and respect. That is some issues related to the confidentiality requirements within this. In the past, I want to emphasize this at the very outset, in the past, our urge to share news has harmed us. Okay, so I hope you noticed that we were very, very careful in allowing the plenary to take the decision, to announce the decision, because you can never prejudge. And any time you try to prejudge and speak before your time, it has always come back to hurt you. So this, as a nation, not only as a government, is something that we need to do well in order to complete the start of the end. And this will not be the end, because this will be, inshallah, then a new beginning, where Pakistan is looking towards strengthening its own systems according to its own requirements, and get out of the requirements of having to report to others, but continue to report to itself.
Thank you, Madam Minister. I'm here to facilitate the questions and answers session. I already see a lot of interest. My only request would be, when you pose a question, please identify yourself, and please restrict yourself to one question per person so that everyone has a chance. Yes, sir, please.
Sohail Bhatt from the Asian Telegraph. Sir, Pakistan was given a 27-point agenda in 2018 and another in 2021. Has FATF recognized that that was unprecedented and a huge burden on a single country to implement two action plan?
Yes, it was quite unprecedented. We were, in fact, the only country which has had two simultaneous action plans to implement. And that's why I said it was tedious, it was arduous, it was difficult, it was technically, requirements were cross-agency, cross-institutions. There was legal frameworks to take care of, there were amendments to do, and then there was institutionalization of those amendments of the new laws. Building of structures, building of systems. So really, I think it's too early to celebrate, because I genuinely believe that once, you can't prejudge anything. We have an on-site visit, but we have started the process, as I said. And within that context, yes, we were the only country ever in the history of FATF to go through two simultaneous plans, action plans at the same time, one of 2021 and one of 2018, as you well know, which was a total of 34, working points altogether.
Mr. Ijaz, second row.
मैं पाकिस्तान की जब भी FATF के इजलास में गया तो पाकिस्तान होपफुल होता था कि इस मर्तबा हम निकल जाएंगे, लेकिन ये बहुत लॉन्ग जर्नी तय करना पड़ा। वो कौन से की इश्यूज थे या की प्रॉब्लम्स थे जिनकी वजह से ये इतना टाइम लगा, और क्या, जैसा हम सुनते हैं यहाँ इस्लामाबाद में बैठ कर के फलां मुल्क का इन्फ्लुएंस है, फलां का इन्फ्लुएंस है, क्या कोई पॉलिटिकल इन्फ्लुएंस इस किस्म का था जो हर्डल रहा, या हम कहीं कुछ चीजों में लैग करते थे?
देखिए, I think at this point in time we can be positive about our journey. We have the luxury to be positive about our journey, because give and take, eventually whatever we did was in Pakistan's interest. It strengthened Pakistan's systems to enable Pakistan to be to be seen and to be also a responsible country, which is, in some ways providing a model of legal framework now to the world. We have always emphasized that FATF must remain apolitical and technical and impartial, obviously. This is an emphasis that we have always done at every interaction that we've had, and we would hope that will continue. Vis-a-vis, why did it not happen before? This was very intensive process. The action plan was minutely detailed. It required many, many actions, as I've just explained, at many, many different levels. So it was obviously time-consuming. जहाँ तक आपका सवाल था कि जी हम हमेशा होपफुल होते थे, मेरे नज़र में आपको you should be prepared for the worst and hope for the best. And I hope you saw some of that being reflected, how this government took this up, because you need to be, and this preparation was over the last many years, so we absolutely are willing to share credit with whoever wants, a piece of the pie. हम तमगे देने के लिए भी तैयार हैं जिनको credit चाहिए. I think this is the battle for Pakistan. This is not a battle for anyone at all.
Second row, Imran sir.
मोहम्मद इमरान, दुनिया टीवी से। मैम, अभी आपने कहा कि जो एक डिबेट चल रही है क्रेडिट की इस हवाले से, अभी आपने कहा कि जो क्रेडिट लेना चाहता है हम देने के लिए तैयार हैं, तमगे भी देने के लिए तैयार हैं। तो जब ये सारी लेजिस्लेशन हो रही थी, जब प्रोसेस हो रहा था, तो उस लेजिस्लेशन के दौरान तो पीडीएम जिसका आप पार्ट एंड पार्सल थी, तो वो बाइकआउट करता रहा, वॉकआउट करते रहे। तो फिर आप अब जाकर इसको रियासत का फैसला और रियासत की विक्ट्री डिक्लेयर कर रही हैं, तो उस वक्त अंडरस्टैंडिंग नहीं थी कि ये रियासत के लिए बहुत जरूरी है इस
नहीं, देखिए countries involved, a certain singular country at least that we all can name and emphasize, which has always tried to make this process a political one and which has been a spanner in the wheels. And to realize that certain countries, in the presence of that certain country, we got this through consensus is an important point. So we had to be more white than others, for sure, but that means that just shows you how much, meaning how much we have attained, how much we have achieved.
Anas.
Thank you so much, spokesperson. Anas Maliman. My question is for you that upon the conclusion of the February 2019 plenary, we saw a statement coming in from the FATF that specified that Pakistan needs to take action, particularly on counter-terror financing, against 34 individuals of 8 organizations of concern. And those organizations were named, namely Al-Qaeda, Lashkar-e-Taiba, Jamaat-ud-Dawa, Jaish-e-Mohammed, the Tehreek-e-Taliban Afghanistan, the Haqqani Network. Now my question is very specific. What has Pakistan done against these 34 individuals as specified by the FATF to convince them, number one? And number two, yesterday we saw in the press conference by the FATF president that it called for an irreversible action. So what is Pakistan going to do ahead of the visit, the on-site visit, to convince them that, yes, this action is irreversible? Thank you.
Let's get the facts correct, okay? Pakistan doesn't need to do anything from now until on-site visit. What Pakistan needs to do is to prepare itself for an on-site visit, which is going to be technical evaluation of all the claims that Pakistan has made, which have been accepted. As I said, all action plan items have been ticked off, largely addressed. Nothing is pending on behalf on Pakistan to do. No actions are pending on Pakistan to do. Now, when it comes to the specifics of, clearly we did enough to get a green light on this, right? That we ticked all the boxes. And within that context, I just want to say that let's be clear. I think when it comes to the prosecution, going after people, anyone who's involved in terrorism financing, that's an agenda that Pakistan has also. It's a national agenda also. So when does the country do well? A country is able to do well within the international framework when its domestic agenda and international agenda is aligned. I feel it is aligned. So we're not doing anything for anyone. We're doing it for Pakistan, and in the process, we're ensuring that our economy also gets the boost, because no country, and this question was asked to me in Berlin also, no country would ever like to be on the grey list. It has repercussions, it has ramifications, and no country would choose to remain on the grey list.
Take one question from there, Kamran, followed by Ms. Roma. Saad.
My name is Kamran Raja, and I have two questions. Recently, Pakistan got a good news from FATF, and which leads Pakistan to exit from the FATF grey list. And second, my question is, do you see the role of any specific political party or institution in completing our FATF action plans? And my second question is that, what actions have been taken to enable our institutions to meet the future challenges in the anti-money laundering and CFT, combating financial terrorism?
I didn't quite understand your last question, second question. What actions are going to be taken? Gee, as I said,
for anti-money laundering and for combating financial terrorism.
What actions? Okay. I think it's less about specific actions and more about the framework that you build, right? As I said, there were lots of issues that, there was a lot of work that went into it. If you look at the list of amendments and new legislation that we had to do, it's actually like
30 plus.
Altogether. Some at the provincial level, some at the national level, some at various levels. Now, you can't just do legislation. You also have to make sure that the legislation is implementable. For that, you have to work on the institutions that are going to implement it, create different frameworks, create different bodies. So this has been a very intensive process. I think what we have now is a good body of work, of legislation, and institutional strengthening that exists for us to have a speed of our own. And as I mentioned to you earlier, what we would want is, what is an ideal scenario for Pakistan? That Pakistan gets out of the vagaries of reporting to an international agency and gets into reporting to its own system and working within its own legal framework to achieve what we consider to be national priorities also. As I said, they're aligned over here. They're not a counter to our national priorities in any way. और आपका पहला question था, any institution, देखें, I said it at the very outset. I think in the last 20 years of having been in this space, there's one thing that I've learned. There's no limit to what you can achieve if you don't care who gets the credit. As on behalf of the Foreign Office of Pakistan, the nation, many institutions, pretty much, when we say national consensus, we're referring to the parliament, we're referring to everyone. We are saying this is a Pakistan win. Let it remain a Pakistan win. Yeah.
Zishan, over there.
Zishan Bhatti from PTV News. India has been leaking reports of FATF in violation of FATF rules. Has Pakistan raised this issue with FATF? And secondly, what lessons have been learned by Pakistan during the last 4 years in this process?
Okay, the second question can take a whole day. I think we've learned many lessons, and perhaps the biggest lesson that we've learned is that it is wise to ensure. For instance, in the FATF, in interacting with people, I said the message from Pakistan is never again. That's a lesson learned. Never again will we want to be part of any list which requires us to divert our attention from our national requirements to just reporting requirements. So never again is the lesson that we've learned, that we never want to slip into this again. That's the biggest lesson. On confidentiality rules, what do you think is the answer? Of course we did. And within that context, I have to say I feel covered some ground, because I think it is a very, why are we so respectful of this? Why are we so respectful of the fact that we don't share information which is not meant to be shared? Because there are very strong confidentiality rules. FATF takes it very, very seriously. So you're actually endangering the credibility of the country when you do that. Now, that certain country that you mentioned has openly been doing it, okay, and has been openly caught doing it. There is obviously a great deal of, I think, understanding amongst other members that that is incorrect and should not happen. But even within that context, I say, let's concentrate on the positive, let's concentrate on what we've been able to do, and that is an area that we are taking care of, that we are taking up with everyone, that we are raising at every forum.
First row, Shabir.
So, as we know that, I'm Shabir Wagra from PTV World, as we know that different ministries play a role in this whole process. So, what role Ministry of Foreign Affairs has played during Pakistan's grey listing, and also now how these responsibilities has changed with the delegation of all the responsibilities on you as Minister of State being the in charge?
Well, how that responsibility, I think Ministry of Foreign Affairs has actually been playing a role even when its minister or Minister of State was not leading the National Steering Committee. I think most of you might be very well aware of it. We were playing the critical role throughout this process in the last 4 years. The ministry was actually housing all the major, or the lead agency in all the major interactions, sometimes, like many of us, going beyond the call of duty. I know our DGCT and different people have taken that role, and the one who's currently there, all the officers within that team. I'm actually very, very impressed when I get any briefings from them, when I see them work, and knowing how much hard work they've put in and how ahead of the curve they are. So to me, obviously, this ministry has played a pivotal role in the strategic planning, in the interagency work, inter-provincial coordination sometimes having to go down to, I don't want to again go into the details, but allow me to say that, yes, we have played a critical role. We will continue to play in a very, a critical or a crucial role. And as I said, I think it's very important, it's exceptionally important that we recognize everyone's effort in this. This could not have been done by any single entity, ministry, institution, foreign affairs, anyone. Had you said, oh, we will take care of anything, virtually impossible to do it. So yes, we've been playing a critical role, and inshallah we will continue to play an effective role.
Question from the gentleman in the first row, followed by Mr. Pracha in the last row.
We were watching this legislation work in the context of FATF, and then there was an institutional format that was coming up. And I personally saw that there was some policy reluctance and capacity deficiency. Mm-hmm. What do you think about it?
Policy reluctance and capacity deficiency. Policy reluctance and capacity deficiency are part of life, right? And you always keep on wanting to strengthen the deficiencies that exist. When I say that we are now not only comparable to international standards, but ahead of international standards. So if you look at overall FATF recommendations and where Pakistan stands and where some of the developed countries stand, you will be shocked. We are ahead of the curve in many ways. Now the challenge for us is to continue with this momentum, inshallah, even after we are out of this process. That is the challenge for Pakistan, and that is also the concern that has been raised. And for that, institutionalization of this whole process is exceptionally important. So I think from now onwards, we have to strengthen the institutions whose core responsibility, DG साहब यहाँ बैठे हैं, जिनकी core responsibility इस process को आगे लेके जाना होगा. And by the way, in answer to that question, obviously we can't miss out the, the foreign affairs, because I think we were doing so much which was not our core role, that I mentioned all of that and not mention the intensive diplomatic work that we had to do. at the level of the foreign minister also, consistently, persistently, every interaction that we have, every capital. And this diplomatic work happens from top down, matlab all of government approach hoti hai. But so I think the role of the diplomatic outreach that we did is quite substantial. I would weigh on it very heavily because you can have a very good case, but you also have to present the good case in a good way. I think we can. Okay.
Thank you, Madam, for MOS. Glad to find you back in the leadership role of this ministry. When we say, जब हम ये कहते हैं कि on-site inspection के लिए टीम आएगी, वो क्या देखने आएंगे? क्या जेलों में बंद लोगों को देखने आएंगे कि वाकई वो बंद हैं, या कोई ऐसा स्ट्रक्चर खड़ा है जिसको आपकी हुकूमत ने पेपर्स में या पाकिस्तान की रियासत ने पेपर्स में डिसमेंटल किया है, क्या वो देखने आएंगे? Secondly, since it's a matter of counter-terrorism, whether there was any concern about ongoing talks in Kabul or Peshawar with the TTP person, because the ultimate goal is to fight out terrorist entities, not to negotiate with them. Thank you.
Sure. Interesting questions. On the second question, I will just say before, as you know, FATF is supposed to be a completely technical body, right? Once you go into, through a process, once you're nominated to be grey listed, there is a process that you follow and there's an action plan given, and that action plan is quite specific to what needs to be done. So the second question, yours, does not arise because this is obviously not part of any of the action plan items at all. This is an internal matter for Pakistan, I think, and this is obviously has no bearing on the work that we did with FATF. और ये आपने जो पूछा क्या देखने आएंगे, I think, देखिए मैंने पहले बहुत वजाहत में कहा और मैं ये वजाहत भी कर रही हूँ और सच्चाई भी कह रही हूँ कि वो ये देखने आएंगी कि जो चीज़ें हमने रिपोर्ट की हैं कि ये हम लेजिस्लेशन कर चुके हैं, ये हम बॉडी बना चुके हैं, फैटिव सेक्रेटेरिएट है, ऑपरेट करता है, उसके नीचे और लोग ऑपरेट करते हैं, इंटर प्रोविंशियल कोऑर्डिनेशन कैसे होती है, नेशनल एंड प्रोविंशियल की कोऑर्डिनेशन के लिए कौन सी बॉडी है, नेशनल स्टीयरिंग कमेटी का क्या काम है, वर्किंग ग्रुप का क्या काम है, कौन सी एजेंसी क्या क्या करी है, ये सब कुछ एक टेक्निकल इवैल्यूएशन, ऑन साइट इवैल्यूएशन में देखी जाएगी. सो इसमें कोई रॉकेट साइंस भी नहीं है, उभाम भी नहीं है, ढकी छुपी बात भी नहीं है. लेकिन अगर हम बहुत डिटेल में ये सब कुछ नहीं जाना चाहेंगे, वो इसलिए नहीं जाना चाहेंगे बिकॉज उनका एक टेक्निकल काम है. अगर उसके आगे पीछे बहुत क्यास राई हो जाए, मैं ये बार बार दो टोक अल्फाज में कह रही हूँ, उसने पाकिस्तान को हार्म किया है. आर अर्ज टू क्विकली share the news or to be the winner in giving you the news has always harmed us. Okay, so इनके काम को हमने उनको स्पेस देनी है और उनको ये कंफर्ट प्रोवाइड करना है कि आप अपना काम आराम से कर सकेंगे यहाँ पे. सो हमारी बहुत कोशिश होगी कि हम उनका काम आराम से, सुकून से, उनको एक टेक्निकल तरीके से हैंडल होता जाए और उसको किसी तरीके से पोलिटिसाइज ना किया जाए. और आप लोग ये सारे प्लीज़ समझें कि हमारे इंटरेस्ट में है कि ये टाइम पे हो जाए. इस वक्त अगर हमारे सामने कोई गोल है, कोई ऑब्जेक्टिव है जिसके ऊपर टाइमलाइन है, वो ये है कि हम अक्टूबर 2022 की प्लेनरी से पहले ये तमाम प्रोसेस ख़त्म कर लें. दैट्स नॉट गोइंग टू बी एन ईजी टास्क, इट्स नॉट गोइंग टू बी एन इम्पॉसिबल टास्क ऑल्सो, बट इट विल रिक्वायर सम हार्ड वर्क एंड सम क्वाइट, sometimes diplomacy, sometimes quiet hard work at the technical level. So we are very keen to see this process through quietly. I am emphasizing that word, quietly.
Mr. Naveed Siddiqui and the gentleman on your right, both of you, one after the other.
Thank you. This is Naveed Siddiqui from Dawn News. Ma'am, there are reports that some friendly countries of Pakistan have helped to get Pakistan out of grey list. Your comments, please.
Okay, I will say this with a lot of confidence that friendly countries, I mentioned to you diplomatic outreach, that's always there. Diplomatic outreach to say, but diplomatic outreach, please pay attention, I want to emphasize this. Diplomatic outreach for one possibility could be, oh, Pakistan is not able to do its work, Pakistan has not done anything on its action plan, but please help us. Versus diplomatic outreach, we have not only honored all of our commitments, we have overperformed, we have not only met the timelines, we have outperformed the timelines, we have done it ahead of time, So now that friendly countries' assistance, in some ways, is an assistance that we deserve. So, no, I'm not going to name them simply because I think they can. We know who are the friendly countries. All I'm saying is Pakistan has deserved this. Please, I want you to, completely. Yes, we always reach out to many friendly countries, but I want to emphasize this, that Pakistan has earned this process. The start of the end is something that Pakistan has earned through its sheer hard work, through consistent, persistent work, and through across the different strains of government, national approach to problem solving. So we have really earned this place. And diplomatic outreach is obviously very important because जो आप बात कर रहे थे पहले कि जी political हो जाता है कभी-कभी, हमने उसको political नहीं होने दिया, आप ये समझ लें. हमने किसी एक मुल्क को इस पूरे प्रोसेस को पॉलिटिकल नहीं होने दिया और उसके लिए हमने बहुत सारी फ्रेंडली कंट्रीज़ के साथ इंगेजमेंट, बहुत इंटेंसिव इंगेजमेंट रखी एट एवरी लेवल. आई मेंशन इवन एट द फॉरेन मिनिस्टर्स लेवल, एट एवरी लेवल.
My name is Abdul Sattar. I'm from NPR, National Public Radio of America. I'm here.
Okay.
Pakistan has really worked hard to ensure that it comes out of that list. But do you think turning a blind eye allegedly or permitting groups like Tehreek-e-Labbaik Pakistan, Defense Sipai Sahaba and some other extremist groups to roam about the country carrying out hate-mongering against religious and sectarian minorities and trying to harm Pakistan's relation with important countries that are the part of the European Union that also play an important role in FATF could pose any challenge, or you think it is purely internal issue of Pakistan?
Nothing remains an internal issue when it has problematic repercussions, right? But as I said at the very outset, and I think I would like to limit myself to that what is the lesson learned, it was asked. The lesson learned is never again. Not for the sake of others, but for the sake of ourselves. Pakistan wants to have a very different reputation than the one that we've bogged ourselves down for many, many decades. We need to move away from that. And we have happily started that trajectory. I think the start of the trajectory, frankly speaking, was in 2008 after, we decided that, yes, you can talk, but if talks fail, then you have to do something about it, right? So I'm quite confident, inshallah, that if we do not bicker, do not let this momentum go away, we should very clearly be on the trajectory of our way out. And again, as I said, never again. Never go back to the same place, never make the same mistakes again.
Last row, Changiz sir.
चंगेज़ खान जदून उंजी प्यामे खैबर न्यूज़ से 22 करोड़ आवाम जो थी वो आपकी मुंतज़िर थी मैडम मिनिस्टर के. कल जिस वक्त आपकी वीडियो वायरल हुई तो दफ्तर ख़ारजा ने उसे फौरी तौर पे आगे चलाया, जिसकी वजह से सांसें जो थी वो बहाल हुई 22 करोड़ आवाम की जब आपने ये खुशखबरी सुनाई. अब आपसे सवाल ये है कि जैसा कि अभी आपने अपनी स्टेटमेंट में भी फरमाया कि लेजिस्लेशन या जितने मामलात हैं वो सारे हमारे स्मूथली हो रहे हैं, चाहे मईशत है, चाहे इंसानी हकूक़ हैं. हमारे पड़ोस में एक ऐसा मुल्क है जिसने इंडिया कश्मीर पे कब्जा किया हुआ है. कभी वो BLA की सूरत में हम पे हमलावर होता है, कभी TTP की सूरत में, कभी कुलभूषण यादव की सूरत. क्या FATF को वहाँ कुछ भी नहीं नज़र आता? कभी हिंदुस्तान के अंदर जो है वो जो मुसलमानों का कत्लेआम हो रहा है, उनकी अमलाक जलाई जा रही हैं, वहाँ उनको कुछ नज़र नहीं आता. एक पाकिस्तान है जिसमें सब कुछ स्मूथली चल रहा है, कोई भी हुकूमत है वो जमहूरी हुकूमत जमहूरी तरीके से अपना काम कर रही है, लेकिन हम ही क्यों उनको खटकते हैं कि 22 करोड़ आवाम जो थी कल उनकी सांसें ऊपर नीचे लटकी हुई थी. जो ही आपका ये पैगाम आया तो हमें सुकून हुआ, जबकि वहाँ पे शायद 1 अरब से भी ज़्यादा आवाम है लेकिन उन्हें कोई परवाह नहीं है, ना उनको है ना मोदी को है. जी प्लीज़, थैंक यू.
ओके, ठीक है. सो बेसिकली देखें, आपने बिल्कुल जो कहा उससे मैं बिल्कुल इख्तिलाफ नहीं कर सकती. और जैसे मैंने पहले कहा, हम ये चीज़ बार बार कहते रहे और मुझे ये कहने में कोई दिक्कत नहीं है कि पाकिस्तान के ऊपर पॉलिटिकल प्रेशर पड़ा है. पाकिस्तान के ऊपर जो पाकिस्तान का इलोंगेटेड प्रोसेस रहा, जो पाकिस्तान से एक्सपेक्टेशंस स्काई हाई थी, उन पे यकीनन एक पॉलिटिकल एंगल उसका यकीनन था, ठीक है. और आपने डिप्लोमेटिक इंगेजमेंट करके वो पॉलिटिकल एंगल को न्यूट्रलाइज करने की कोशिश की, बिकॉज दूसरी तरफ एक मुल्क अगर बहुत इंटेंसिव आपके खिलाफ एक बनाए, कैंपेन बनाए, तो उसको आपको करना पड़ता है. जो FATF का जो तरीका है उसमें म्यूचुअल इवैल्यूएशन रिपोर्ट, MER रिपोर्ट जिसको कहते हैं, वो इंडिया की ड्यू है 2023 में. हर मुल्क की म्यूचुअल एवैल्यूएशन रिपोर्ट हर थोड़े सालों बाद होती है, और इंडिया की ड्यू है 2023 में. सो वी वुड ऑब्वियसली, हम ये चीज़ को एम्फसाइज करते रहे हैं कि अगर यहाँ पे फेवरेट्स हों या कई मुल्कों पे ज़्यादा नुक्ताचीनी किए जाएँ और कई मुल्कों को बिल्कुल ना देखा जाए, तो उसमें बहुत सख्त प्रॉब्लम आती है और क्रेडिबिलिटी उसकी ख़त्म हो जाती है. तो आप पार्शियली अग्रीइंग विद व्हाट यू सेइंग, और आपका जो आपने FATF का पता पूछा, तो मैं आपको ये बता रही हूँ कि 2023 में उनकी रिपोर्ट भी FATF में ड्यू है.
Thank you, ma'am. This is Zargun Shah from here on this side.
Yeah.
Zargun Shah from Geo Television. मैम, एक तो हमारे जो जनरल पाकिस्तानी पब्लिक है, जो व्यूअर्स हैं, आपको सुन रहे हैं, उनके लिए ये बता दीजिए, उनकी अंडरस्टैंडिंग के लिए, कि ग्रे लिस्ट से निकलने के बाद फौरी पाकिस्तान को फ़वाइद क्या होंगे, इसके बेनिफिट्स क्या होंगे. और दूसरा, इफ़ यू लाइक टू स्पीक, इट इज़ नॉट रिलेटेड टू FATF, it is a different question, but if you like to speak, what is the update with you vis-a-vis the return of General Pervez Musharraf? Thank you.
Unfortunately, I don't have any update on the last question. As you know, I was away, so I'm. दूसरा आपने पूछा फ़वाइद क्या होंगे. मैं दो चीज़ें, आपने मौका दिया, मैं दो चीज़ें एम्फसाइज़ करना चाहूँगी, क्योंकि यहाँ पे दोनों चीज़ों से हमें गुरेज करना है. ये कहना कि जी बहुत कुछ हो गया, लेट्स सेलिब्रेट, उससे भी गुरेज करना है, बिकॉज अभी हम प्रोसेस में हैं. और ये कहना कि जी हमने तो कहा था ग्रे लिस्ट से निकल आएंगे, ग्रे लिस्ट से तो निकले नहीं, ये भी गलत है, राइट? क्योंकि हर चीज़ का एक प्रोसीजर होता है. ग्रे लिस्ट में डलने का भी एक प्रोसीजर होता है, ग्रे लिस्ट से निकलने का भी प्रोसीजर होता है. इस वक्त हमने ग्रे लिस्ट से निकलने का प्रोसीजर का पहला और इंशाल्लाह आखिरी मरहला शुरू कर लिया, ठीक है. बट आप ग्रे लिस्ट से इस मरहले के बगैर नहीं निकल सकते. कोई मुल्क कभी भी नहीं निकला, ये एक प्रोसीजरल रिक्वायरमेंट है. और डलने की भी बहुत सारी प्रोसीजरल रिक्वायरमेंट्स हैं, निकलने की भी हैं. उससे फ़वाइद क्या होंगे? देखें, जब एक मुल्क ग्रे लिस्ट में होता है तो वो हर चीज़ को, आप चाहते हैं कि आप फॉरेन डायरेक्ट इन्वेस्टमेंट को अट्रैक्ट करें, आप चाहते हैं आप ट्रेड को अट्रैक्ट करें, आप चाहते हैं आप इस मुल्क में की रेपुटेशन बनाएं कि इसके फाइनेंशियल रेगुलेटरी सिस्टम्स स्ट्रॉन्ग हैं, इसमें लॉ सही तरह चलती है. ग्रे लिस्ट में होना उस सब का ऑपोजिट मैसेज देता है इन्वेस्टर्स को, ट्रेडर्स को, जो लोग इस मुल्क में आना चाहते हैं, जो लोग इस मुल्क में फ्यूचर में इन्वेस्ट करना चाहते हैं. तो ग्रे लिस्ट से निकलने के बाद एकदम आपके दरवाजे समझे खुल जाते हैं. ओके, सो आप एक रिस्पॉन्सिबल इकोनॉमिक फ्रेमवर्क का जो अभी भी हम हिस्सा हैं, लेकिन इसमें निकलने के बाद एकदम एक पॉजिटिव न्यूज़ जाती है, एक पॉजिटिव लोग जो कल को FDI लेके आना चाहते हैं, पाकिस्तान के साथ ट्रेड करना चाहते हैं, पाकिस्तान के साथ इंगेज करना चाहते हैं, पाकिस्तान के साथ कोई MOU साइन करना चाहते हैं, पाकिस्तान के प्राइवेट सेक्टर को फ़ायदा होगा. पाकिस्तान के प्राइवेट सेक्टर टू प्राइवेट सेक्टर, अगर एक मुल्क ग्रे लिस्ट में हो तो लोग झिझकते हैं और सोचते हैं करने से पहले. वंस वी गेट आउट ऑफ इट, एंड क्योंकि पाकिस्तान के प्रोसेस इतना प्रोट्रैक्टेड, इतना लंबा रहा है, इतना लोगों को पॉलिटिकली भी हो गया, तो लोगों को इतनी अवेयरनेस थी इसके बारे में, आई थिंक इट विल हैव अ वेरी गुड इम्पैक्ट इंशाल्लाह. एंड उस वक्त तक वी वुड होप कि मैक्रो इकोनॉमिक स्टेबिलिटी भी पूरी तरह मुल्क में रिटर्न कर जाए, तो द टू टुगेदर विल बी वेरी गुड ओमेन, विल बोड वेल इंशाल्लाह.
Gentleman on the left of Mr. Zargun Shah and followed by Mr. Khalid at the back.
मैडम, लुकमान शाह, डेली अस्कार से थे. मैडम, ये बताएं कि जो पाकिस्तान के बैंड ग्रुप कौमी धारे में आ चुके हैं, कौमी सियासत में हिस्सा ले रहे हैं, क्या FATF के जो वक्त हमारा दौरा कर रहा है उससे पहले उन्हें दोबारा बैन किया जाएगा, पसे जंदान डाला जाएगा, उन्हें कौमी धारे में रहने दिया जाएगा?
देखिए, मैंने पराचा साहब के भी क्वेश्चन सवाल के जवाब में ये कहा था, कई चीज़ें जो हमें नेशनल रिक्वायरमेंट के मुताबिक करनी चाहिए. जहाँ तक FATF की रिक्वायरमेंट्स हैं, 27 items of 2018, 7 items action plan items of 2021 have all been ticked off. हमने उन सब पे अपने जो भी रिक्वायरमेंट्स थी वो पूरी कर ली हैं, और यूनानिमसली इसकी रिकग्निशन FATF के फोरम पे आई है. तो इनका और उनका ताल्लुक इस वक्त नहीं है. ठीक है
मैडम. खालिद महमूदी, एक्सप्रेस टीवी से. मैडम, टेरर फाइनेंसिंग के हवाले से 27 पॉइंट थे, और इस हवाले से GHQ में भी एक सेल बनाया गया था जो DGMOs की सदारत में बनाया गया था. आप क्या समझती हैं कि उसमें उस सेल का क्या किरदार रहा, और आप क्या समझती हैं कि उस सेल के बाद जो है वो पाकिस्तान में या इसके रीजन में जो टेररिज्म है उसमें भी कमी वाक़या होगी?
देखें, ये जो तमाम इस तरह के बहुत सारे वर्किंग ग्रुप्स, स्टीयरिंग कमेटीज, सेल्स इस पूरे प्रोसेस को आगे लेके जाने के लिए बने और हर किसी ने अपना भरपूर काम किया और जिनका आप मेंशन कर रहे हैं उन्होंने भी बहुत ज़्यादा इंटेंसिव इस पे काम किया. सो जैसे मैंने बार बार कहा, लेट दिस बी समथिंग दैट वी कैन, जो जर्नी हमने की है, इट्स बीन अ डिफिकल्ट जर्नी, इट्स बीन अ टीडियस जर्नी, बट everybody has been a contributor to it. So I would really want to share that credit with everyone who has played an active role, and absolutely the cell has been vital and played a very important role in this. So have many other working groups, so has the steering committee. So there's a wide array of institutions, of entities, of ministries, of sub-ministries, of provincial governments, of police stations, etc., who have all contributed to enabling this to happen. Huh?
Saad, you have a question? Saad, followed by Madam at the back.
Thank you, Saad Umar Shamsi. My question is, ये मेरा सवाल है कि फैटअप का जो ये पूरा प्रोसीजर था काफ़ी अच्छे चल रहा है, तो क्या जो आप पिछली गवर्नमेंट को भी इसका कुछ क्रेडिट देंगी जो 3 साल 4 साल से जिस पर एफर्ट हो रही थी? और दूसरा मेरा को सवाल ये है कि कब तक जो है फैटअप की टीम पाकिस्तान का जो है दौरा वो कब तक मुतवक्किल है?
अच्छा, जब ये हो रहा था ना, आखिरी दिन मुझे लग रहा था कि हमारा कंसर्न फैटअप से कम है और क्रेडिट बांटने में ज़्यादा है. एकदम बहुत ज़्यादा क्रेडिट के लिए डिमांड हो गई थी. सो वी आर गिविंग क्रेडिट, एज आई सेड, टू एनीवन हु सीक्स इट and to everyone, and deservedly so, okay? Because, as I said, this is not a certain political party's agenda, this is Pakistan's agenda. And for us, we have to remain mature about it. We don't react to immaturity with immaturity, we have to remain mature about it. For us, it will be a win-win if everybody considers they have stakes in this. So, indeed, the previous government has stakes in this. We hope that every political party will continue to have stakes in enabling this to be a seamless process and one that doesn't end with the whitelisting of Pakistan. I think it's also important to emphasize that, because the whitelisting will take us out of the requirements of FATF, but our own requirements must still be there. And the momentum that we've gained, it's exceptionally. Again, what happens? A country gets an opportunity. You can either grab that opportunity and run with it and become a runner, meaning become a leader within that, or you can put all of that hard work to waste. No, I would hope that Pakistan chooses to run with that momentum, to continue to harness that and to continue to build on it. For instance, I look at it like this. This has given us a very good foundation. Jaise blocks hote hain, Lego blocks, it's given us a very good foundation. Now, inshallah, as we move out of the grey list into the white list, we must keep on building on the blocks vertically, horizontally, to strengthen it. Foundation is great, but it's called strengthen bhi karenge, inshallah.
Madam Sumaira.
Thank you very much. Respected MOS, my question would be regarding disinformation campaigns initiated by India time to time. And we have been seeing that जो भी वो कहना चाहते हैं वो सबसे पहले अपने न्यूज़ और मीडिया आउटलेट्स को ज़रूर कनेक्ट करते हैं, and without evidence they go on, and it's never a big issue for them to once again resurrect kind of Pulwama, Uri, Pathankot type के issues और Balakot के लिए जैसे वो surgical strikes का वो करते हैं. These things matter a lot when they are building up a case against Pakistan कि Pakistan एक terrorist haven है, Pakistan terrorists को nurture करता है. Do we have any roadmap, since we have gone long way in removing our name from grey list? क्या हम disinformation को counter करने के लिए Pakistan as a country, as a state, कुछ इसके ऊपर भी काम चल रहा है हमारा, as we have many ministries and steering committees and cells. So, do we have anything on our plans and cards? Thank you very much.
So, I would like the Foreign Secretary answer this, because I think that we've had intensive work in this, and I would really want him to take this question.
Thank you. I'll just say that ever since the Disinfo Lab revelations came out, Pakistan took this issue at the international level, both in Geneva and New York. We are working closely with the United Nations, and very soon you will hear a very important meeting taking place with the title of Friends of the UN on the Disinformation Campaign. This is being spearheaded by our mission in New York, and you will see that there will be positive outcomes in this regard also. Expecting it next week. Inshallah.
Ali? Last question.
Ali Hussain from Business Recorder. मैडम, जब क्रेडिट की बात आती है तो ऐसा लगता है कि सब ने अपना अपना क्रेडिट ले लिया सिवाय करंट गवर्नमेंट की। तो आपकी जो करंट जो गवर्नमेंट में जो पार्टीज़ है इनके ऊपर एक तनकीद ये भी की गई कि जब ड्यूरिंग द कोर्स ऑफ द पैसेज ऑफ FATF रिलेटेड बिल्स तो नैब लॉज को उसके साथ लिंक किया गया था। तो इस हवाले से क्या आप बताना चाहेंगे? और दूसरी बात यह कि जो टेक्निकल टीम की विजिट है वो नेक्स्ट मंथ सुनने में आ रहा है कि वो नेक्स्ट मंथ आ रहे हैं।
बहुत अच्छी, ले लें आप।
जी हिना बोल से अनवर अब्बास, मुझे ये जानना है कि पाकिस्तान पहले भी FATF में रहा, बाहर आया, इसी तरह बड़े बड़े दावे किए कि दोबारा अंदर चला गया। अब मुझे ये जानना है कि एक तरफ हम TTA के साथ उनको असिस्टेंस फ्राहम करने की कोशिश कर रहे हैं इंसानी अलमिया से बचने के लिए अफगानिस्तान में, तरीके तालिबान अफगानिस्तान, जिसका कि बैंड आउटफिट हक्कानी नेटवर्क पार्ट है, ऑफिशियल पोजीशन भी रखते हैं हक्कानी साहब। तो क्या हमारे इस तरह के एक्शंस हमारे आइंदा हमारे लिए मसाइल पैदा नहीं करेंगे? शुक्रिया।
Let me try and understand this better. Are you saying that because the state of Pakistan continues to have ties with the state of Afghanistan, no matter who is in government over there, that will go against us? Yes. Every state is continuing to have ties at one level or the other. Many European countries will start, already have embassies there, and state-to-state ties are state-to-state ties. You cannot choose. You can choose who to elect, who to have as government within your own territorial boundaries. Outside of your own territorial boundaries, you have to have state-to-state relations. So I don't think that is by any ways impinging upon our future course of action with FATF in any way possible. So let me just, categorically let you know that. On the issue, देखें जो आपने current government के बारे में कहा ना, अगर आप ये कह रहे हैं हर किसी ने credit ले लिया, current government ने ले लिया, ये मेरे लिए इससे बड़ी बेहतर खबर कोई नहीं है. Because what that shows is कि हमारा काम credit लेना नहीं है, हमारा काम मुल्क को जो भी मुश्किलें पेश आएं या मुल्क के लिए अपॉर्चुनिटीज़ क्रिएट करना है. हम गवर्नमेंट हैं, हमें आदत पड़ गई है कि गवर्नमेंट भी काफ़ी रिस्पॉन्सिबली एक्ट करते रहें. हम इस वक्त स्टेट ऑफ पाकिस्तान को रिप्रेजेंट कर रहे हैं और स्टेट ऑफ पाकिस्तान को क्रेडिट अपने लिए काम करने के लिए कभी नहीं चाहिए होता. सो आई वॉन्ट टू से दिस वेरी कैटेगोरिकली एंड टू से कि हम बल्कि वी आर वेरी कीन दैट पीपल शुड शेयर द क्रेडिट बिकॉज देन दे आर स्टेक होल्डर्स इन इट एंड देन एज वी गो इन ऑन द प्रोसेस वी वुड होप कि अगर और कोई अभी तो हमें और कोई इसके ऊपर नहीं, लेकिन अपनी लेजिस्लेशन तो बाद में करनी पड़ेगी और आप देखेंगे कि इस पे जो भी काम होगा इंशाल्लाह कंसेंसस से होगा. और मैं इस चीज़ को वी आर एंडिंग दिस, सो आई वुड लाइक टू जस्ट एम्फसाइज दैट नथिंग वर्क्स बेटर. जो आप कह रहे थे ना पोलिटिसाइजेशन होती है पाकिस्तान के अलावा, पाकिस्तान के खिलाफ एक्सेट्रा, व्हेन आई अपेयर्ड वी कांट. सो नथिंग वर्क्स बेटर इन एंगेजिंग विद द वर्ल्ड देन एट द प्लेटफॉर्म ऑफ नेशनल कंसेंसस. Nothing gives more confidence to the international community on the direction of Pakistan than areas, decisions, steps that are taken with national consensus. We underestimate the importance of that. तो बिल्कुल हम पाकिस्तान का वो इमेज नहीं देना चाह रहे दुनिया को और इसमें आई थिंक हमने कोशिश की है कि हम अपने एक्शन से ये प्रूव करें कि mature handling किस तरह होती है. We are absolutely very keen of everyone has been a stakeholder in this process. And let's just say that this is really a, on which visit? On-site. On-site visit, okay. उसमें मैंने देखे पहले कहा है, हमें आपसे गुजारिश होगी और I think Asim you need to sort of engage with everyone to, we will really have to keep that quite outside of and not ask too many questions and not try and do any kayasarai on it. It will harm the country. I think we can all agree that we are not here through our jobs to make any or create any complications for the country. आपने please I want to end by saying this. आपने देखा होगा हमने ये process इस plenary को भी बहुत एहतियात के साथ handle किया. मेरे नज़र में उसके नताइज अच्छे निकले, एहतियात के नताइज अच्छे निकले, एहतियात और मैच्योरिटी के नताइज हमेशा अच्छे निकलते हैं. सो हम कोशिश करेंगे, जैसे कि मैंने कहा, we can pat ourselves on the back, but we are not at a point where we can completely congratulate ourselves. We still have a journey. We have last final step inshallah left, and we would want to do it with maturity, with sense of purpose, and complete focus. Thank you.
बहुत बहुत शुक्रिया.